Sis, if you want to see how I look so good with this beautiful closure melting into my skin like butter, I'm gonna need you to stay and watch this video. What's up, y'all? So today's sponsor is Janet Collection, and they hooked me up with this beautiful closer that you see melting into my skin right now. So let's talk about it. First of all, it's from the Melt series. It's their new skin ultra high definition 4x5 free part lace closure. It is 100% hand tie. You can shampoo it, perm it, bleach it, dye it, customize it. It's stretchy, super transparent, y'all. This thing blends and melts. Y'all already saw it, and this is before the tensing, and you can already see how good it looks. And I will be pairing it with some of these prestige bundles. If you feeling my vibe and you want to see more beauty, fashion, or videos like this, please subscribe to my channel to help your girl out. And if you want to be notified every time I drop a new upload, go ahead and turn on that notification bell so you do not miss out. Okay, so this is my braid pattern. This is how I decided to go for it. I felt like it was going to be easiest, and I will sew this net on using a closure as my map onto where to sew it. So as you can see, I cut around that area because I'm going to go in with this invisible cap and do a little ball cap. So I'm going to use my Isha scalp and hair wipes and just get away the excess oil and stuff because I'm going to melt this down. I'm adding some gel to my edges, swooping it back to keep it out of the way, get everything nice and neat. And then I will go ahead and attempt this ball cap. Girl, the thinner your cap is going to be better. I'm going in with the foundation that I usually use for my face, which is exactly the color that matches my face with and without makeup, so it's perfect. And I'm going to do 3 layers of this. So the Isha Melt Spray is going to basically be my glue. And I will be doing this process 3 times to make sure it doesn't go anywhere and that it does not budge. Once I do this process 3 times, which I'm not going to show, you just have to look at it once, I will take my this and I will lay it down just to keep it flat while I go ahead and sew the perimeter of where the closure will be sitting. And then I'm gonna cut that off, and then I'm going to sew on the 2 front corners on the left and right exactly where I needed the closure to be placed. So make sure that your closure is placed, the hairline is placed right in front of that bald cap that you created, and you don't want it to be exactly where the bald cap starts because it's going to be obvious. You're going to see it. You want it to come up just a little in front of the bald cap, y'all, just a little bit, just to give you some leverage and making it look like it's coming out your scalp. Okay, girl, don't mess it up. It's kind of, you know, you got to take your time with it, but you can get it. Just take your time. I literally took my time, and this is real time. You see how long it's taking me to blow dry it. I'm checking, I'm looking in the mirror to see if everything's looking good. This first layer is the best layer to go ahead and make any adjustments, move up the lace if you need to, comb out any crusts if you have any. Once you get to the second and third layer, you're not going to be able to do that because it already dried on the first layer. So this first go around is the best time to make sure everything is perfect and move anything around if you need to do so. Because I did do this 3 times, so I layered it 3 times like I did with the ball cap. So far, this lace looks phenomenal. I already knew it was going to blend and it was going to melt from the moment I put it on my head before I even tinted it. And for the tinting of the lace, because I did not mention it, I did actually use that same foundation, and I just smoothed it around the bottom of the closure, and that's it, y'all. That's it. Like, this is so crazy how much like skin it looks. And I showed y'all at the beginning that it is stretchy. Y'all gonna see a little bit later on how scalp like it looks when I start to try to part this thing. But anyways, I'm just cutting away the excess for now. That's not how I'm gonna be cutting my lace. So let me apply some heat to this and get things together. So this part is very important, okay? For this closure, I like to sew a little bit on one side and sew a little bit on the other side. I don't like to do all one side because I feel like it can pull it to one direction too much, and then when you go to sew the other side, things are really off. So I sew about 2-3 stitches over here, then I'll do about 2 or 3 stitches over there, and as I'm doing it, I will keep touching the closure and kind of placing it on my head to make sure it's flat and smooth as I do it, because I want to make sure that it's flat when I part it, that there's no humps or anything like that. And I just repeated the process on the left side and on the right side until when I got to the back, I just went ahead and closed it on up. So this is what I like to do to ensure that everything's going to be nice and even. This is what it looks like. As you can see, it's sewn around the entire perimeter of my head, and it's nice and tight. It ain't going nowhere, girl. Nowhere at all. And most importantly, it's flat. So again, it's 4x5, so you can part it anywhere, but I'm mainly parting it here just to show y'all that it's flat. There's no humps, there's no lumps, because I went from the left to right, making sure that everything was staying nice, flat, and put in place. Okay, so the way I sew on my tracks, at least in the back of my head, is I double it for one, and then I sew it across, and then I flip it over, and I sew it across the other direction, and then I flip it over again, and I sew it across. And I do this until I get to the top of my ear, which is kind of getting close to the nape area. And then I will do something a little bit different, but I'm not really going to focus so much on the sewing end part, because yeah, it's just redundant. You're just going to see the same thing over and over for that long. But for the front, I do add a little curve. I do one track only. I don't double it. I add a little curve in the front to have some of the hair fall towards the front, especially if you have thin edges like mine and you kind of look a little bald up there. This helps to kind of give you some hair up there, because if you don't do that curve, it's just going to fall down. It's not going to cover up those edges and stuff. So this is a really good idea, and I like to use this technique, y'all. So yeah, pretty simple. I'm sewing it on, and I did this process until I got all the way to around the perimeter of the closure. I didn't do anything fancy, nothing smashy. So next, I'm going to go ahead and just mold out the top of my head using some of the Isha mousse. And girl, I love this stuff. It smells so good. I always say that every time I use it, but I'm going ahead and just melting that down. Well, molding it down. Just kind of tame the flyaways, get the hair to stay put in place and all of that good stuff. Now, as you can see, as I'm parting it, this thing moved like scalp, because remember I showed you that it was actually stretchy, so it's giving me like scalp like feels, and it looks really good though. I actually like this closure. I do like that it stretches, because it allows you to pull it a little bit more when sewing it on if you want to, or a little bit less if you want to. So it is all a preference. I do like the stretch feature that they have going on with it. But yes, so I went ahead and molded it down. For the most part, I am kind of done, but y'all know finishing touches is always going to help the wig look super, super good. So now I'm cutting off the lace, and I did attempt to use a razor. That is what I would prefer, a brow razor, but I feel like I was going to cut my skin because this thing was tacked down, y'all. Like, I melted this thing so good. And the con about cutting your lace after you melt it is that the front is going to lift a little bit, which is to be expected, but I prefer to still do this because I feel like it's easier to cut it off and fix the front than it is to cut the lace and then melt it down after. So this is my process, and I'm just going in and I'm cutting off the excess. I like to cut it close to the hairline, y'all, but I do like to leave a little bit of lace in front of the hairline so it can kind of blend into my skin. I don't want it to be hair lace and then my actual forehead. I like it to be hair, a little bit of lace, and then my forehead. I feel like it allows for a better transition. And I'm cutting off those two loose side edges. You don't really need it. It's kind of bulky, and it kind of, you know, it can be shown through the wig, so that's why I cut off those little side pieces. But I didn't bother cutting it off behind the hairline because I don't care too much about it. But anyways, I'm cleaning up that area to get off the spray that I had there, because I'm going to add more spray. So I clean up that little tip piece. Y'all, this lace is the bomb, first of all, and I'm so happy that using this lace spray and the lace on this closure is definitely not giving crusty, because sometimes after applying so many layers of products, it can get crusty, and it's not giving me crusty and dusty, and I'm super happy. It's just melting to the skin. It's just looking so good. So these two just marry each other so well, y'all. These two products just go hand in hand with each other. Look how good this is coming out. Look at this. So freaking pretty. It's definitely giving skin. And do keep in mind that I didn't bleach the knots. I didn't have any bleach. I intended to, but it still looks good. I was worried at first, but I'm like, wait a minute. For a closure without bleaching the knots, this looks pretty darn good. And I think it has a lot to do with how well that lace melts into your skin, which just allows it to look so natural and skin-like. I mean, it's called Nu Skin for a reason. I could see why they give it that name, because it's doing what it's supposed to do. All right, so the final process for most would be just to go ahead and hit it up with a little flat iron and all that. I'm gonna tell y'all off jump though, the hair, the bundles is actually really soft. So soft, so silky, so smooth, and it was super bone straight already. It really did not need to be flat ironed. The only things that had like a little crinkle or wave on it was like close to the weft from being wrapped up, but aside from that, this hair bone straight, so it really didn't even need this. But y'all know I'm extra and I'm gonna do everything. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it all the way right, okay? Now this part right here is extra. You don't have to do this, but any style that I do, whether it's a wig or a weave, a closure, style part, frontal, don't matter. I love for my hair to go back and then fall down, so I did apply some more wax stick just to kind of, you know, get that little swoop back feel that I always go for. But I'm gonna tell you this though, that wax stick did make the hair a little bit heavy because I already applied some wax before. So I will be going, and thank God for the Isha wipes. Y'all on something with them Isha wipes, okay? Because it's definitely helped me out this whole styling process. I wiped off that wax because it was giving greasy and stringy, but I went back in with some mousse and I did the same process to get the look that I was going for. Now, the final and important process that you have to do is go ahead and add some good old cream concealer to your parting space. It's going to make it pop. It's going to make it look realistic, natural, and all of that. And of course, I always go with a little bit of a lighter color, something I will use for like my highlight on my makeup, because my scalp is lighter than my forehead naturally, and it just looks nicer that way in my opinion. And then I did go in with a little bit of brow pomade to clean up the little patches in areas where it looked like I overplucked a little bit, so I wanted it to be a little bit darker so this part could be like off the chain for real. Now these results right here is without makeup, and as you can see, it looks great without makeup, and it blends so good to the side bald edges that I have. Okay, all right, okay, I want to see this Nu Skin in the frontal now. I really do. This is what it looks like with makeup on, and it looks just as good as it did without the makeup. It's very important to make sure y'all using y'all makeup, foundation, whatever you're using to tint your lace with, the same color, match your skin. Everything got to match for it to look good. This is amazing, y'all. Again, the hair is soft, and I am pleased at how good the Nu Skin lace closure matched to the bundles, because the closure was a little bit darker like a 1B, and then the bundles was like a little bit lighter like a color 2. And also the closure was a 14-inch, y'all, and the bundles was a 22-inch. And I was like, uh-oh, I don't know how this is gonna work, but it worked out fine because you cannot see anything. It's seamless and it's still blending, and I look freaking amazing. This entire combo is just off the chain. They knew what they was doing with this Nu Skin. Hello, if y'all hear me over there, I don't know if y'all got it yet, but I'm about to look. But I want to see this Nu Skin in the front too and get my whole hairline right, okay? Now, if y'all want to get y'all hands on some of this Melt Janet Collection Nu Skin Invisible Lace Closure, which you should, sis, of course, check the description box because all of the information with some direct links will be there for you. And of course, if you're interested in the bundles that I use and any of the Isha products that I use today for styling this beautiful closure, it'll all be in the description box. All right, so the video is over. Thank you so much for watching. Now, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and drop it down in the comment section, and I'm gonna go ahead and chit chat with y'all. You know I love to do it. Bye.
I've been down in the ruins so deep. All the games they